That's right. It's the morning show right here on KVVB TV, channel 33, Facebook Live, Periscope TV, and all social media platforms which have video. We appreciate each and every one of you for spending time with us here on the show. On today's show, a little bit later on, whenever it's this time where everybody's like feeling good about getting together and eating a lot, well, unfortunately, on the opposite side of that, sometimes there are ones that have a question when it comes to eating. So we're going to be speaking to a guest, Dawn Delgado, who is at the National Director of Clinical Development at the Center for Discovery. She's a certified eating disorder specialist supervisor. She's worked with a lot of individuals with their eating disorders as well. So got some good reminders of do's and don'ts, especially perhaps maybe a relative or one of the family members is going through this situation. So we'll be talking about that around the corner. And also, Applebee's very own Bill Nordby will be joining us. And we'll also be talking to health and wellness chef who loves to entertain. Alia Dalal is going to be joining us just around the corner, talking about some really good stuff that we could do, some holiday menus guilt-free that we could participate in. We got Mr. Jesse Sanchez over there. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning.
Now, for those that don't know, your real name is Jesus, right?
Pretty close. Hey, Jesus, it's all good.
do you ever feel like you have to apologize for that, or like who chose that, your mom or your dad?
I want to say my dad because my mom said she wanted to call me Steve. So
I can't. You know what? I could see you kind of pull off a Steve, but so okay. So but at what point did you say, okay, it's not Jesus, it's Jesse?
I started using Jesse when I started actually working. So at around like age 18, it was
Got
just
it.
easier for people to say.
Because they're like, whoa, they're kind of stuck in a conundrum, right? Like it's like,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like your name is Yeshua, which is technically Jesus in Greek, I believe. So, but hey, you know what? It is what it is, right? So there you go. I always find it difficult myself. So when you said Jesse, I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I like your shirt because we all need you, Jesus.
I've been
All right,
called Chewy before. So yeah.
Chewy, Chewy. Oh,
Yeah.
didn't. Oh, I know a
That's-
Chewy. You don't look like Chewy. Well, actually, you got the beard, Chewy Martinez. Yeah. All right. Well, we got to take a break. We'll be right back right after these messages with more right here of the morning show. Stay tuned. All right, so we are checking out the chat rooms over there. I have to say, my lady's so excited about our next guest. Why, you ask? KitchenAid. That's all I have to say. And she gets like shivers down her spine. Yeah, she doesn't get excited for a lot of the interviews that we have, but I knew the moment we booked this one. I said, "Hey, babe, you're gonna be excited for this." She goes, "Really? Why?" And I said, "Because she talks like that." "Really? Why?" She doesn't. That's just my version of her. And so yeah. So then I said KitchenAid. Oh, I got everything from KitchenAid. I got that and like right. So there you go. So that's our next guest. Going to be talking about KitchenAid. Although I'm looking at their site here,
We
KitchenAid.
got 10 seconds.
Jesse, do you cook? Do you like? Are you one to be like, oh man, stand mixers and countertop appliances and kitchenware? Does that
Yes,
get your
I'm
like
exactly.
heart
Yes, I do. I
racing?
like it. I like to cook my food. Two
Yeah. Then you
seconds.
then you're gonna love this. Blenders. That's right. It's the morning show right here on ABC News Radio KMET 1490 AM. Joining our live TV audience over there at KVVB TV channel 33, Facebook Live, and Periscope TV, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live as well, wherever video can be seen on social media. We got a big show planned for you. Later on, we're going to be talking about something that a lot of people don't fully think about unless they happen to know somebody who is suffering from an eating disorder. Sometimes you don't even know when somebody is suffering from an eating disorder, but spending time with us a little bit later to talk about how eating disorder expert, she's going to shed some light on the darkness some people could feel during the holidays, especially during this time of the year. So we'll be talking about that around the corner. She's also a blogger for Psychology Today and presents nationally on topics of eating disorders and trauma. She's conducted training and retreats overseas in Dubai and Bali. So we'll be speaking with Dawn Delgado around the corner. Super excited about that. Also, Applebee's very own Bill Nordby will be spending time with us, talking to us about the latest specials as well as the latest happening in the Pick'em Winner of the Week. Also, check this out, around the corner. Now, I have to say, the moment I shared this with my lady that we were having this guest on, she was so happy. It could have been like giving her tacos pretty much. KitchenAid, yes, KitchenAid, our very own. Alia Dalal is going to be talking about some menus, some things you could do with your seasonal guests this season. Speaking of season, Jesse, I don't know if you saw this, but boy, the cold front has come in on the East Coast like none other. Have you seen this? Oh man, it's terrible. It's I mean, or in some ways, for those that really like it, then it's great, but not really. They're calling it the Deadly Arctic Blast. It's bringing 30 inches of snow to Michigan, and get this, in Florida, 30-degree temperatures in Florida. It's literally freezing in Florida, Alabama, parts of Maine, Michigan, New York. They're all digging out from a foot of snow. Remember last week, Melissa Gonzalez, who lives on the East Coast, actually talked about this as well. And it's a historically early and deadly Arctic air. It's gripped much of the nation. The entire state of Alabama was under a freeze warning as temperatures dipped into the 20s and below. Florida, residents of Pensacola woke up to 30 degrees. Now, I remember the last time it got somewhat cold in Florida, iguanas were falling out of the trees, like, because they're used to the heat. So you got to question like all the fallen iguanas. Not it's a cloudy chance of meatballs. It's a cloudy chance of iguanas. Imagine that, like right in front of you, like right on your car. Ah! All right, and then they're frozen. They're not dead, so don't go off killing them. They're just frozen. So they go into hibernation type status there. Okay, switching gears up. Yes, for some of you, of course, warming up near the fire with something good to eat is always nice. But in order to get that to that point, you got to make sure you have the right tools and appliances as well as good meals. Spending time with us all the way from KitchenAid is our very own Alia Dalal. Good morning. Welcome to the show, Alia.
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
Going great, by the way. So my lady was super excited that you're coming onto the show. She understands you know the best, not only the great things like you're a wellness chef, so you bake things that make us feel good by the time we've eaten it, but also you got some pretty cool tools over there in your own kitchen. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so you nailed it, Aaron. When it comes to talking about healthy holiday meals, I like to think of nourishing my family. So, yes, treating them and impressing them and giving them something delicious to eat, but also taking care of them. So
Yes.
I love centering my holiday meal around fresh seasonal produce. So things like Brussels sprouts and squash and apples and pomegranates. All of those ingredients are in season right now, so they taste amazing. You don't need tons of butter, sugar, or salt to really bring out their flavor. When it comes to some of the tools I use in the kitchen, I actually love using a blender to mimic that really smooth, creamy texture that we all love. So the one I'm super into right now is the KitchenAid K400 blender. I can take butternut squash and blend it up in there and make the silkiest, most velvety soup without a drop of cream.
Okay, and I understand. Okay, you said cream. So and how quick does that do it? Because I can imagine back in the day, before we had these amazing appliances or tools of the kitchen, like how long would that take normally? Have you ever tried to do it just without one of those? Or is that like blasphemy?
So sort of the old school way of doing it is you might cook a vegetable like squash for a really long time. You might mash it up and then put it through a strainer, piece by piece. And then that's usually why cream or maybe whole milk, half and half, is added, so that you kind of trick your mouth into thinking that you have that super smooth texture. But with the blender, you can do that in seconds. And you don't need to add those extra ingredients because we really love that creamy mouthfeel, especially, when it's cold. You want sort of those more comforting dishes. With the blender, you can do it in seconds.
Well, I just saw a picture earlier on our screen here that they come in different colors. I just got to ask, do you have like a color theme of your own, or does it matter to you?
So I just love color in general. So, every time we come out with a new color, I love just mixing it up in my kitchen. But the one that I'm really into right now is called pistachio. So it's a really beautiful light green. It looks great on your counter. We also have
We saw
a
that.
lot of matte colors that finishes this season. So if you like that look in your kitchen, even like matte black or matte white, it makes a really stunning appearance on your counter.
Okay, well, let's get back to the food part. Let's talk about spicing it up. How do we spice some of those things up? Because I'm not going to lie with you here. Brussels sprouts used to be my least favorite vegetable. So when you said, "Oh, Brussels sprouts," my head turned off. But since then, I've had a couple people like turn my head back on with the right way to cook it. So any ideas on how to make these things really delicious? Because let's face it, the kids, the young ones, you mentioned these names and they're like, bleh.
Absolutely. So when you used to have Brussels sprouts and you hated them, how were they usually cooked?
Raw.
Maybe they were, the raw.
Well, they tasted raw. They didn't taste like properly cooked. No balsamic vinegar was on it. It was just like popped in it was just terrible.
So if you want to bring out a lot of that flavor or make them really crispy like you have in the restaurants, you want to turn your oven temperature way up. So I'm talking like 450 degrees. You could even push it a little bit higher for Brussels sprouts. That way, all those edges and leaves get really crispy. They caramelize, and then the inside is not overcooked and mushy. So that's the reason we love those crispy restaurant Brussels sprouts. But the oven can help mimic that at home too. So all you need then is a little bit of oil. You could do a splash of balsamic to add a little acidity, salt and pepper, and you're good to go.
Okay, so I'm getting ready also for turkey and stuff. Is there any what would you recommend, like, to kick up the sauce or the gravy for the mashed potatoes?
So I love doing some really like fresh sauces this time of year. So I know a lot of people do like the pan sauce for the turkey, and you kind of save the drippings. But I actually love adding some herbs and even some like lemon zest and lemon juice. So if you want to add make it maybe a nice dressing or vinaigrette. You can take shallots and garlic and fresh herbs, put them in a food processor, chop them up and add oil and vinegar right there. And even something like that would really just give your turkey like a big punch of flavor. Those dressing and sauces too kind of help us if we've, maybe overcooked the turkey a little bit. Even have of lemon and olive oil will just sink in there. It'll just wake up the flavor, and those herbs just give you some nice fresh color too. So it's a great way to kind of perk up your dishes.
Okay, I gotta ask, for those of us out here that like we're getting into the cooking vibe, what are your like top 3 recommended devices in the kitchen to be able to use? I wanted to call them appliances, but these are like processors, right?
Yeah, so like different small appliances you can get this time of year to, help your, meal prepping, holiday meal planning go really well. Actually, a great tip I have for you is for everyone out there who has a KitchenAid stand mixer. You can get over 10 different attachments that screw into the power hub. So you can have just one tool, but you can make everything from homemade pasta to grinding your own meat, to spiralizing vegetables. The one that I'm like crazy about this year is called the vegetable sheet cutter. So it can take a sweet potato or zucchini or an apple, and it cuts it into one long, thin sheet. So then you can take that sheet instead of, noodles for lasagna or enchiladas, or I make little appetizer roll-ups with that instead of using like bread or dough.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I need me some of this. Yeah, I could tell you right now, you can't hear this, but my broadcast producer, also known as my lady, she actually really wants. Which one did you want, Brenda? A sifter. She wants the sifter
Oh,
for
awesome.
baking for the holidays.
Is perfect. I was going to say, I can tell she's a baker because it's a great way you can weigh your ingredients and automatically sift them right into the stand mixer. And, everything's going to rise better, turn out really evenly, and it'll get rid of the pressure of some of that baking if you're worried about, your cake turning out well. So she'll love it. You already know what to get for her holiday gift this year.
I know, right? I know. This is like a little glimpse into her life there because she gets into the kitchen, but anything to make her process faster and quicker is always something. Because like oftentimes, and people are like, well, why don't you help out? And I'm like busy over here helping the kid with his homework. Okay, I'm making things up now. But let's speak about some tips here that you recommend because of course during this time we're talking about like what's so great about again local farmers and the markets that you can attend.
So if you do like that seasonal produce, that's the best place to get it. So not only is it great to support your local farmers markets because you get really delicious, fresh produce that was often harvested the day before. When you're shopping at a grocery store, obviously things, have to be harvested a little bit before. So they actually have more nutrition, which is super cool. But you can also find really unique varieties of things. So actually don't let that be intimidating. But you might be able to find purple carrots at your farmer's market instead of regular orange carrots. The cool thing is you could use them in the same way. You could, slice them in your food processor and roast them or add them to a salad. But it is really going to impress your guests because it feels very gourmet. That's actually a little restaurant tip for you. We love adding those kind of specialty ingredients because it makes the dish seem more premium. But it's something you can totally do at home too. And the farmer's market is going to, you'll get cool varieties of squash and different greens and all kinds of cool stuff.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because it's true. Yesterday we went to the supermarket and got a lot of vegetables. She likes to juice, right? So she's a big juicer. And some of these were like, oh man, it wasn't the quality you could tell was not there. And then you got the non-GMO or the organic versus the GMO, but then the GMO is like half the price. Like the lemons are only 69 cents versus $1.20. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do what you're talking about and it's good to support the local community, right?
Yeah, and a lot of the farmers have subscription programs. They're called CSAs. So if you agree to just kind of buy what they're growing that week, it's a great way you can get the produce at a discount too.
Did not know that. I've been to a lot of farmer markets. I never asked that question. Okay, last but not least, before we let you go, how can people get some more information on all the great tips that you're giving us out there?
Absolutely. So if you guys are looking for some recipe inspiration, or if you want to check out that sifter scale or the vegetable sheet cutter, head to KitchenAid.com.
There it is. All right. Again, thank you so very much, Alia, for spending time with us. We'll have to have you back. I got more questions for you over there. But thank you for spending time with us here on the morning show.
All right. Take care.
All right, so there you go. Alia Dalal always kicking things up in the kitchen over there. You know, she was actually, not only has she hustled in Michelin-starred restaurants, she's prepared meals for movie stars, was named Healthy Cook of the Year by Cooking Light magazine. She's professionally trained in health supportive cooking and attended the Natural Gourmet Institute of Health and Culinary Arts in New York City. So she knows what she's talking about. All right. We're going to take a quick break after these messages with more right here of The Morning Show. Stay tuned. All right, so there we go. A big shout out to those of you tuning in live. Let's see who's in the audience, shall we? Sorry, I wasn't able to bring you guys up on that last one, just because we were kind of rushing over here on this side. All right, let's see. Just because it's not organic does not mean it is GMO, Joey says. Yeah. Yeah, but a lot of them are. That's why they're cheaper. Like, so, but I see what you're saying. Yeah. So, but there's this whole, the supermarket we go to, they actually label it. So you end up paying a little bit more. Sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes, but double the price. I mean, when you want to like juice like a bunch of lemons and they're like, I mean, what was it, $1.20 for organic, which you're like, oh, you know, times 6 or 7 versus like half the price for, you kind of go like, got to buy a lot of stuff. Which one am I going to go with? So, but there you go. Oh, Brenda over there is shopping. Why? Really? Oh, so she's talking in my ear. Just, she's excited. Okay, I guess this is her gift to herself, or she's asking me to get. I'm not sure which one it is.
Okay, it doesn't matter. It's a we gift. So, and Jesse's laughing. Check this out, guys. So, anyone who's been wanting to do wraps.
Oh, that's what she was talking about.
This is the one that makes it flat like a little tortilla, and you can actually make great, refreshing cucumber wraps. So, check that out. So you can wrap like your chicken. Yeah,
fancy.
Jesse's like, oh yeah.
Fancy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That's amazing. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, they're celebrating their 100-year of KitchenAid. Like this is like all their stuff that they have is amazing.
Oh,
right?
Look at that. Yeah.
Look at that.
I like the red because I love red.
I like that stick mixer or that, you know, where you put in the pot or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool. That's how we could do our wraps, huh, Brenda?
Yes.
Ah.
All right, Mike.
I'm hungry now.
You and me both, Jesse. Let's see. Diana says,
new appliances.
"Oh, hey, by the way, is Bill ready to go?"
Yes, Bill's all ready to go.
All right, cool.
Let's get our Applebee's on.
Yeah.
Now the question is, what alcohol is the drink of the month?
Oh, it's the.
10.
I think we featured that last week, didn't we? Maybe not.
He wasn't on last week. I don't
Yeah, he
think
was
so.
Thursday.
Okay, maybe he was. All right, 2 seconds.
That's right. It is the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM, KVVB TV 33, Facebook Live, Periscope TV. This is one of the few shows that gets you ready to eat the rest of the day. Have you noticed that? We always talk about foods and different types of foods, how to make them. Speaking of food, get you ahead of the corner here for your luncheon, maybe even dinner today. We got Applebee's very own Bill Nordby over there, cooking it up, getting in the kitchen, making sure everything tastes good. Bill, good morning. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning, Aaron, and all the KMET listeners. Yes, don't have some great news for the Rams fans. You know, we always give out 10% discounts to all KMET listeners, but we double it up when they do win. They unfortunately did not win. So, but you still get your 10% discount just for being a KMET listener, unless, of course, you're 55 or older, because today is Seniors Day, and you can get 30% off all of your regularly priced items.
Nice. Okay, so I have a question for you, which is a little bit off the subject, but I just was wondering this, and I'm hoping you can fill me in on this. do you ever step behind the cooking portion? And like, if so, do you do it at home or do you do it at Applebee's, or do you trust the professionals?
Oh, I trust professionals, and I can tell you that I am not a great cook, but and I certainly don't cook very much at home. My wife is a great cook at home, and I have learned the recipes. And if you give me a recipe and a card, I can do it and get back there and help them when they need it. But I am no cook. That's certainly true.
Yeah, Bill, you and I are in the same boat. I like to think I can make some stuff, but once I have like my own ladies like cooking, I'm just like I can't compete with this. Why try? But can we? It was something we never talk about. Are some of your chefs that that you choose to hire? What do you look for in a chef in your establishment there? Because they consistently make good food.
Yeah, well, they've got to be able to handle high volume, and they've got to be able to handle the pressure and stress of being able to serve a lot of food in a short amount of time. And it's not an easy job. So, the restaurants are notorious for their turnover. Proud of the fact that we have some of the lowest turnover in the industry. And I've got one gentleman here that's been here 13 years since the doors opened. So I'm very proud of and a few other cooks. Obed has been here almost as long. And I've got a lot of great guys and gals, too. I've got a few female cooks that are really just as good as the guys.
Yeah, I can appreciate that because you ever go to and it's interesting that you say that. You ever go to your local favorite place, but sometimes it's not your local favorite place because you're like, the food tastes different. Everybody's like, yeah, right. And you're like, oh, new chef. So I appreciate that you have that one that's stayed there for the longest because you get consistently good food. But let's switch gears a little. Pick'em winner of the week. Who was the lady or the man?
Well, it was week 10 wrapped up, and we had an exciting game on Monday night between the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers, and it went into overtime. And so I was actually following that because I had two slips in my hand. One if Seattle won and one if San Francisco won. And it went down to the wire. Seattle kicked the field goal at the end of the overtime to make this particular person our Week 10 champion, and that is Tandy Marino. So, Tandy, come on down and get your $25 gift certificate.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. You two can win next time if you just come on down and ask your bartender or server for a slip. It's completely free. You pick the winners, and then you tell me how many points are going to be scored on Monday night in case there is a tiebreaker. There was no tiebreaker this time. Candy was the only one that got 10 out of the 13 games correct.
Nice. All right, Candy. That happens to be my sister's name. So does she spell it Candy or Candy? Very few spell it Candy.
That's Tandy with a T. So it's rhymes with candy, but it's Tandy.
Oh, Tandy. Oh, I thought it was candy. Okay, because I'm in the mood for some candy. All right, but no Tandy. Okay, thank God my lady's like, yeah, you better not be. Okay, let's get back to the business here really quick before we let you go. I know we're running out of time, though. But the drink of the month, Jesse over there, he's like, I love Applebee's. And for some reason, even though he doesn't drink, he wants to know the drink of the month. So I'm not sure what's going on over here.
Absolutely. All month long, we're pouring vodka cranberry pomegranate lemonade. And they've been very popular. We've been doing the neighborhood drink of the month for about 2 years now, where you can get yourself a drink for $1. Started with the margarita, and we've been moving it around from month to month. Sometimes it's a beer. This particular month, all month in November, will be vodka cranberry pomegranate lemonade.
Got it. Okay, so there you go. The drink of the month, the $1. You can't go wrong. That's when you're like, you know what? You're my friend. I'm going to take you out. Drinks are on me, as long as you stick to that one. Okay. Well, Bill, again, until next week, we look forward to speaking with you. Any last-minute surprises over there in the meal land? Anything new that we should look forward to? Anything coming up around the corner? Any specials we should be asking for?
Absolutely. Don't forget, we've got about 5 days until this Sunday on our special 25-cent boneless wings. You've got 5 days to come on down and get boneless wings for 25 cents each. You really can't beat that. And that and our neighborhood drink of the month, and you're out of here and haven't spent a whole lot of money. So it's a great time. Come on down.
Bill, thank you for reminding me. I thought that was done by this last Sunday, so I'm glad this is extended. You got me so happy right now. Okay, all right. So Applebee's, everybody, Beaumont and Banning. How can people find you? Where are you at? Where do they get off?
1585 East 6th Street, where Beaumont and Banning come together at the Highland Springs exit of the 10 freeway.
All right, there you go. Jesse says, I promote Applebee's to my family to go there. So good job. All right, we got to. Oh, I get it. He's asking for his family. That makes sense. All right, so again, Bill Nordby, thank you very much for spending time with us here on the morning show.
Thank you. See you down at Applebee's.
That's right. Okay, we need to take a break here, but when we get back, we're going to be speaking about eating disorders, do's and don'ts, especially when you have a friend or a family member that's going through this. We'll talk about that next here on The Morning Show. Stay tuned. All right, so there you go. Applebee's very own. We've been talking a lot about food, but sometimes when it comes to eating disorders, there are things, unless you are one that has gone through this type of eating disorder, you really can't understand. So to break it down for us, I'm excited about this interview because I've had a lot of questions about eating disorders. I've had multiple friends that have had this, and you always wonder like what to do, what not to do, because there's no exact book out there. At least one that I haven't found just yet. But maybe we'll be talking to Dawn Delgado about this and probably get some perspective on this. I have a question of what if you suspect somebody has kind of like, I mean, it's not the same, but when somebody has, for example, a drinking disorder, right? So you're like, how do you approach that? So how do you approach with the eating? Because it's a very sensitive subject. So and how do you help the person get help? So I've got a lot of questions here that need to be answered. So we'll be talking about that around the corner. All right, let's see. Jesse says, I went on my second date with my girlfriend to Applebee's, so it's special. Oh, really? Really, Jesse? Tell me about that. What did you order? What did she order?
We actually ordered the same exact thing.
That's actually good. That's like
So, yeah, I ordered the what was it during the time, the unlimited like fries and chicken wings and stuff like that, or chicken tenders. So I
oh,
ordered that, and she was all like, well, "I'll take that too." So yeah,
you're like, this is gonna be a third date for sure, right? It's always nice.
yes,
It's nice, yeah. Sometimes you know what? Sometimes you can tell a lot by what person eats or doesn't eat, right?
oh yeah,
That's what I liked about Brenda. Brenda just was like, she'd go to town. I'm not kidding. She'd be like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." She's like, what? I'm hungry. What? No, she doesn't do it like that. But I'm like, good, a girl that can eat. This is good. Because there's some
yep,
that are
yep.
like, oh no, I only eat a salad. They're all like proper, and then like later on, you're like, what happened? Like, what? Where did the proper go? They're like, I got you, hook, line, and sinker.
Oh,
you know,
10 seconds.
like just be
Oh my
real.
god, 5
Oh, is the
seconds.
guest ready to go?
Yes, all ready to go.
Okay, thanks. Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM, KVVB TV 33, and all social media platforms that have video. We got with us our next guest. I'm super excited about this because there is a lot of questions I have that need to be answered when it comes to eating disorders. Maybe you do too. Dawn Delgado, who serves as the National Director of Clinical Development at the Center for Discovery. She's also a certified eating disorder specialist supervisor and an EMDR trained trauma specialist. Good morning. Welcome to the show, Dawn.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. Okay, so let's jump right into this because a lot of people don't think about this in that if you have a friend or family member who is suffering from an eating disorder like this, the holidays actually could be very stressful. How does this happen and how can we prevent that from being less stressful?
Absolutely. So let me break it down into three main reasons: family, food, and mood. So, family, holidays are often a family time, high stress when it comes to all the family members together in one room. And similarly, the other end of the spectrum, people sometimes feel lonely if they don't have family or if they're estranged from their families. So, that's something that also families can carry shame-based attitudes about food weight and bodies and have be immersed in like a diet mentality. All of those things contribute to be stressors for someone with an eating disorder. On the food end, food is everywhere, especially during the holiday season, food-centric gatherings, holiday parties, and potlucks. So again, for someone who's already struggling, this is going to be exacerbated this time of year. And lastly, mood. We like to say it tis the season to be jolly, but for many people, it's just not. Depression and other co-occurring disorders can increase during the holiday season for a number of factors.
Well, okay, so the next question I have is, and this let's talk about eating disorders. What kind of eating disorders are we talking about? Because they're all over the board, right?
Absolutely. So there are clinically diagnosable eating disorders: anorexia, bulimia, binge eating disorder, and even ARFID, which is an avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. And then there are, disordered eating. They lie on a spectrum. So somebody could be struggling with, you know, diet that is just getting more kind of obsessed with their diet and their body. And that could be on the lesser extreme end of the spectrum. And I want to remind you that eating disorders come in all shapes and sizes. So you can't tell by just looking at someone if they're struggling. They really do run the full gamut of body sizes.
Yeah, I've had friends in the past who have come clean about their own anxiety when it comes to eating, and even though you know that, you don't, as a friend, sometimes always know what to do, what not to do. Are there any suggestions over there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, generally speaking, it's important to just be that safe person that someone can come to without judgment, without joking about it. It's important to kind of decrease your comments about people's food or body size. In our society, we tend to talk a lot about weight, weight loss, diets. It seems to be almost like a greeting. Oh, you look great. Have you lost weight? These things
Mm.
can be extremely triggering for someone who's struggling. So even casual conversation, and also just to be available when you know a little bit more, or if you do know that someone is in the depths of their eating disorder, be available for meal support or support after a meal, or just to talk about their feelings. We want to encourage individuals to find resources, both in their support network of friends and families, and also to get with a therapist or dietitian who specializes in eating disorders. There is help available. There are support groups. There are great books out there. And we want people to learn more because they often just don't go away on their own.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I had a couple of moments where a couple of the friends that actually have suggested or they actually shared with me their situation. When it would get to the extreme portion, I thought, how do I approach this? Because I'm not going to lie. It's like walking on eggshells. How do you approach that with the person to get them additional help? Like, in other words, to get in front of you or to get in front of some of these methods that there is treatment, there is support for this.
Yeah, absolutely. It can really feel like walking on eggshells. We provide support and support groups not just for the person struggling, but for all the people around them, the loved ones and family members, because sometimes it's tricky to know what to say and what not to say. So
Yeah.
again, kind of being that safe person and just starting out with listening. Listen to their experience, hear their experience. My clients often report that people are quick to give advice. Oh, just eat. Well, that's great advice, but eating disorders are impacting 30 million people in the U.S. If it were that easy, then there wouldn't be so many. So listen, hear their experience, and then, really have that sit-down conversation about these are very serious disorders. Somebody dies in the United States someone dies every 62 minutes from complications of an eating disorder. It's a serious thing.
Yeah, and again, at both spectrums, right? Which is terrible and sad. I wish we had more time with you. I know you're going on a national campaign. I hope we can have you back. I got a lot more questions that need to be answered. But how can people find out some more information over on what you guys are doing over there? Because you're doing a great thing for the community and for those that are suffering on either spectrum.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So Center for Discovery has a national footprint. We're all across the nation. We are in 11 states and expanding all the time. We just opened a new center in Temecula recently. We're all over LA County, Orange County, Riverside County. And we do offer some virtual assessments and free support groups online and in person. So you can visit us at centerfordiscovery.com and check the locations link for a location near you.
All right. So again, Dawn, thank you very much for spending time with us. Great job on what you're doing. I know you're transforming lives over there because it can be debilitating for those that suffer with it. And many of them suffer silently, not even wanting to share. So thank you for making it easy to talk about.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me and for highlighting this important issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Dawn Delgado, everybody. She's the National Director of Clinical Development at the Center for Discovery. Check it out, Center for Discovery. They're on Facebook, on Twitter. They're everywhere. Center for Discovery. It's an eating disorder treatment. They can take care of that. And it's one of those things that if you suspect, it would probably be good to get some more information before you approach the subject. That way you're not going at it haphazardly and causing that person to withdraw or go into their space and not want to come out. So it's very important to talk about this and get it out in the open, because if you can help that one person, then of course you've done your duty. Maybe this is you. Maybe you suspect you feel you're on this and when you're suffering silently. I remember watching as a kid these after school specials and they talked about this, but rarely do I see any more programs on this. And especially I can only imagine that with Instagram, social media, Facebook, and all these, which are very much like body centric, people are looking. I mean, look, I don't have either one of these disorders, and yet even I will sometimes go, oh man, my tummy looks a little bloated there, it's this or that, because we're so like visual creatures now that now everybody has an iPhone, everybody has a picture. I'm like, oh man, can you like bring that down? There's apps that'll bring your tummy down and whatnot, but then sometimes for some of us out there, again, and this is a big number, 30 million people just in the U.S. suffer from an eating disorder. I know of ones that are like, no, I don't want to see the camera because they're ashamed of how they look in person and or just don't want things posted up. But that's a clear indicator as well. There's so many things, and it's sad, and of course something we have to be mindful of, because we're gonna face it on either spectrum. Either as she mentioned, eating too much, eating too little. The process of throwing up, and that has a whole other complicated list of things. So again, if you have questions on this, make sure to find it. It is Center for Discovery. We have to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more right after these messages on news that you can use or not use. There's a couple interesting comments over here. We'll talk about that next here on The Morning Show. Stay tuned. All right, social media comments over there. Let's see. Big shout out to Ciro Kuma, Kavis, Urkut, Urkan, Kokali, Pillow Time, Manuel, Alcorcia over on Periscope. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, and Daniel and Devin. Devin tuning in as well. On Facebook, I see the comments going back and forth. I could see, let's see, we've got Yosue there. Good morning, Yosue. Good to see you. Don Piercy and Casey and Jesse are going at it over there. It's true. It's true. I sometimes out of principle, if like somebody else orders something, I'm like, I don't want to be like them, but I wanted to order the same thing. I change up what I'm gonna eat just to be like, see, I didn't copy you.
But if I order first, I am not the copycat. So
This
I
is-
always try and order first.
You know, you're supposed to let the lady order first. You're supposed to. You handed. You and I, we gotta talk. So you
Yeah,
whenever
but
they.
then she looks at me and she's all like, "I'll take what he has."
Oh, got it. Got it. Okay. Or you could ask her what she wants. I don't know. This has always been a weird thing because there are some women that are okay with this. Have you seen this where they're like, they don't want you to order for them, right? It's like you're controlling if you do it, right? And then there's some that are like, no, it's the gentlemanly thing. Like order for me, and you're like, I am so. Which way do you want it, right? Like it gets confusing. Not to sound, but because some get offended that you do that, and then some go, "Oh, thank you for thinking of me," and you listened to what I thought about. It's really confusing. So get that down right. But but like
I'd be
usually,
like, "I'm good."
now see, the only woman I don't allow to go first is my mom. You know why?
Why?
I used to do this. I used to allow like all the time. But she saw that program with Lucy where you know how Lucy's like, she keeps changing up her order based on everybody what they're ordering. So she'd be like, "Ooh, I like that. I want that." And then the next person orders, "Oh, I want
10
that. Let me change it."
seconds.
That's my mom.
Ooh,
So,
smart. That's smart.
so we'll be there all day if I let her go first. Although it's the proper thing to do, but you'd be there like 3
4
times
seconds.
longer. The waitress is like, "I'm running out of time, lady. Like, I got other people to serve." Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. Also joining our live TV audience over there at KVVB TV, Channel 33, Facebook Live, Periscope TV, YouTube Live, and LinkedIn Live. I want to say a big thank you to each of our guests today. Yes, of course, starting it off, of course, getting your kitchen appliance ready over there. KitchenAid. Wanted to do a big shout out over to our chef and wellness instructor over there. And her name is Alia Dalal. Go find her on social media and copy all of her great recipes, as well as Applebee's very own Bill Nordby. And then rounding it up, giving us some very big I want to say food for thought, but I don't know if that's a proper thing, is, again, our specialist over there, which, again, really appreciate that because that's always one of those things you don't know how to discuss eating disorders, and so we were super appreciative. I know I am of that very discussion, and I hope we can have them back because Dawn Delgado is doing a lot over there for the community. And again, if you need help over there, don't be ashamed to ask for it. Center for Discovery, that's where it's at. Get your information right there. Okay. Also, she's a blogger for Psychology Today, so you can follow all of her great stories and then some. All right. Moving over into the world of social media. Let's see. I'm looking at our social media comments. Big shout out to those tuning in on Facebook. Diana Chenevier's over there. Appreciate you. Stephanie Reed says, "Hello, happy editing this glorious, cold, wintry, snowy, busy day ahead today." And it is cold. Boy, those on the East Coast are really feeling it and wonder at what point it's going to come over to here. But there you go. Then there's, let's see, Dawn Piercy, who says she's glad she's out of the mid. Let's see, I missed that comment. Yeah. She says, "I'm so happy to be out of the Midwest because it is cold." All right, switching gears up, though. Let's talk about news you can use or not on this segment of the morning show. Jesse, first of all, let me ask you this because this is some news we can all use. Disney Plus just came out yesterday. How good, great, or awesome is it? Or none of the above?
I'm loving it so far.
Really?
That's only because I'm reliving my 90s cartoon days. So I'm watching Gargoyles.
They have gargoyles. That was one of my
Yes.
favorite. I love the
They had-
voices on that. Yeah. And anybody that likes Star Trek, again, the main character, or the bad guy, that was Star Trek name. I forgot his name. He was the one with the beard. Remember him? on
Yeah.
Next Generation. But okay, so and the Mandalorian, have you seen that? I have questions on that. Is it good? Is it as good as they say it is?
I have not seen it yet. I'm going to see that tonight
Oh, you
because
were
I
waiting.
kind of fell asleep yesterday.
You're like, what time do you fall asleep? Because you get up like at what? It's crazy early, 5 o'clock, right?
Yeah, 5:30ish. I usually fall asleep around 9:30, 10.
Okay,
But
all right.
I was stuck on Disney Plus and I fell asleep around 10:30.
Got it. Okay. Well, there you go then. All right. So, yeah, be careful on the East Coast, by the way. The Arctic blast has already attributed 4 deaths. 4 deaths already attributed to this cold front. So be careful. Warm up. Make sure you have extra gear in the car in the event that you are stranded. God forbid that happen. Okay, let's switch gears up entirely into something you can use like this. Yeah, this is one we've talked about, like unplugging the devices right at home. Well, a mom actually shared this recently with Good Morning America, also on ABC there, this is in Fresno. The mom's children were acting up. Of course, she was quite sure what was behind it. She said. Was it sugar or lack of sleep? Well, she noticed that they were particularly grumpy when it came time to turning off their screens. And then one day it was the final straw. You know that moment when mom's like, okay, that's it. I don't know if your mom was ever that way, Jesse. Did she ever get like, okay, that's it? Because I think every parent goes through that once in their lives.
I want to say she did, but I think there was a point to where she's like, if you guys are going to stay up, you're just going to suffer through it in the morning.
Oh, she was one of those like, okay, you got consequences. Watch, and I'm going to remind you. Yeah, I tend to be
Yeah.
that person, by the way. I'm like, okay, all right, we'll see how you rock it. I know I'm doing. All right, I'm going to remind you of that decision. But there you go. Okay, so she said this to Good Morning America. She said, I came home and the first thing my son said to me was, "Can I play on your phone?" And of course, she goes, "That was it." Over dinner, her and her husband broke the news to their kids. They said there would be a 30-day ban on screens. She went next level. 30-day ban on screens. What does that mean? Well, that was 9 months ago. Now, the story gets better here because you're probably thinking, what happens in the 30 days, right? She says this: what started as a 30-day detox became a complete technology overhaul for our home. I wish we had done it sooner. The kids were initially upset by the news, as they obviously are. I wonder how long that went for. But they adjusted quickly. They built more couch forts, played more Legos. They fought less, read more. I can see that, especially between like multiple kids. It's my turn, it's my turn, it's my turn. Yeah, there you are. You can see them right there reading. They're all reading in bed, reading there. She said they looked to their parents for entertainment. And so, they're like, hey, which could be a little like, especially if you're trying to work there at home, it gets a little difficult. But she said, I just thought about what I did during my childhood. I told them, go climb a tree, collect bugs, and if you're still bored, I have piles of laundry for you to fold. That's called, we'll figure it out. Trust us. The kids ages 4 to 10 get along better. Says she's been able to spot their interests. She said, quote, my daughter's just reading nonstop. I found out my son loves nonfiction. I never knew that before. Now the family will gather to watch a movie once in a while, and the kids have 1 hour of screen time on Sundays. So I know, for those of you parents going, that's terrible, that's abuse. She should not limit her kids from that. It's up to each adult, right? DeFrick said it's something she and her husband are continuously evaluating. After all, she doesn't believe technology is bad. Far from it. She said, we just want to remain in a place where technology works for us, not the other way around. I think this is a pretty balanced view. Now, I will say this. If you ban my own phone from me, there's going to be complications because I work on that device. But having said this, what do you think, Jesse? Good idea? Bad idea?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of all for this, by the way. Don't tell the little one. But you always want to wait for that moment. As long as they like keep a good, balanced, even, you're like, okay, you know what? You earned it. And sometimes sometimes if you use it properly, you don't just limit the screen time. You also give it as an incentive to, like, let's face it, we all ended up loving video games, right, Jesse? Come on. Am I alone on this?
Guilty.
Yeah. So, and we grew up perfectly fine adjusted adults, which, I mean, I don't know about you. I can't wait till I get like another PlayStation. The little one wants a PlayStation. I kind of want him to want it because then I'd be like, ooh, we could play together. And anyway, it's a thing. It's something I'm trying to fight. But there you go. With myself, because then I'm going to be like, I'm going to have to limit myself. Brenda's going to be like, okay, that's enough screen time for you over there. I'll be like, what? I'm just getting ready. She's like, it's the morning show. We got to get going. Oh, yeah, that's right, because I'll be at 5 o'clock in the morning because I'll have the time to fit in. She's like, I thought you were going to go to the gym. We got PlayStation what is it now? Number 5? Is that what it is, Jesse?
Number 4, number 5 comes out next year.
I know, but the little one, he found out about it on YouTube, so he thinks PlayStation. He asked me, he goes, should we get PlayStation 5? And I'm like, yes, but here's the thing. See, by the way, whoever did the marketing over there, shame on you, because he's under the impression it comes out this coming holiday. So I'm not the only one. And he doesn't read, by the way. Well, he does, but limited because, first grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously somebody on YouTube's going around going, ready for the holidays, because now he's like, yeah, PlayStation 5. So he's thinking he's getting PlayStation 5, and I'm like, no, we're going to get PlayStation 4 if we get anything at all, and you have to wait for 5, although I'd rather be like, save your money, wait for a year from now, but now it's a conundrum, PlayStation. Why did you do this to us? I think they knew this was going to happen. See, this is... PlayStation were in your head. So PlayStation said, hey, if we could tease us ahead of the holidays, the younger kids, they're not going to know the difference. They think Christmas is all year round. So they're going to be like, yeah, because they have no concept of time. Literally, younger kids have no concept of time. You're like, that's a year from now. How long is that? Remember the last time you had your birthday? That long. That's a pretty long time. So we're getting it this December. You're like, oh. So here's my point, PlayStation. Can you stop telling kids it's out for the holidays? Just say 2020, the end of 2020. Then we'll all be happy, right? Because we know because it makes us look like liars. It looks like we're withholding from the young ones a device that isn't even out yet. I'm telling you, PlayStation, I'm on to you. All right, so moving on. We got one last story ready to go. Okay, what about this one? A teen had received a historic. This is one of those, like, this is good but not good at the same time, because it's sad of why they had to get this. But a teen has received historic double lung transplant. Now you're asking, well, why did he need this? Did he suffer from some terrible, like, growing up disease? Due to vaping related illness. Yeah, due to vaping. So thank goodness he was facing imminent death when he received the historic double lung transplant. This is a Michigan teen. Doctors at Henry Ford Hospital said the 17-year-old is believed to be the first person to ever undergo such a transplant due to an irreversible vaping illness. Doctors predicted he was days away from death if he didn't receive the transplant. So that is the good news. The bad news, again, be careful out there with these. There is nothing like having to go through a procedure like this, especially at 17. Hassan Neme says this teenager faced imminent death had he not received a lung transplant. His lung damage was like nothing I have ever seen, and I've been doing lung transplants for 20 years. So be careful out there, okay? There it is, a historic time, and at the same time, how terrible, something that could have been avoided. So be careful out there, especially with your little ones, okay? Get them the information, share that with them, be like, look, you don't want to go under the knife just for some vaping, do you? All right, look, if you got to scare them into, like, getting it right, scare them, I say. But all right, so there we go. We appreciate each and every one of you. We will see you tomorrow, same place, same channel. Make it a great day. And next on ABC News Radio, stay tuned right there at KMT 1490 AM. Download the app. It's free. How terrible, huh? How sad is that? I'm just talking about the article we just shared. Nime, who again was the surgical director of thoracic organ transplant at Henry Ford Hospital, said this, quote, "This is an evil that I haven't faced before. The damage that these vapes do to people's lungs is irreversible. Please think of that and tell your children to think of that. Thank you, doctor." Finally, public health departments in 24 states have confirmed at least 40 deaths linked to vaping, and the CDC said it is aware of more than 2,000 probable cases of illness related to vaping. Again, this is still at the beginning of this, what I call a situation just gone bad. I don't know that they're going to be able to recover from this, honestly, but yet there's so many kids, teens, and adults that are doing this. And imagine, how long has electric cigarettes been out? Not that long. I mean, I hate to say this, and I shouldn't say it at all, but because somebody's going to quote me. But it's like, which of the two evils do you want to suffer from? One that causes almost imminent, or one that delays? Neither, if you ask me. But it's terrible. This is how people think. So be careful out there. Get the information that is necessary. Again, good news is this teen got the treatment that he needed thanks to a double lung transplant, but it's sad that it could have been avoided, right? We've been talking about this for a long time, and so please be careful out there. Okay, we got to let you guys go over there at KVVB land. Thanks for spending time with us. We'll see you tomorrow right here on The Morning Show. Stay tuned.